Right, good morning, everybody. I hope I find you well. Today, I'm going to be talking about pressure gradient force. Pressure gradient force is the lesson that I gave you last on Thursday yesterday. Pressure gradient force was after we did the unicellular movement of global air. So, with pressure gradient force, you will find that this stuff that I'm talking about is in the textbook on page 100, page 101. So I will just dissect the topic, and then I hope we all be on the same understanding. Right, pressure gradient force, Coriolis force is another one that we'll be doing after this one, and geostrophic flow is also another one that we'll be doing so after this one. So we measure pressure in hectopascals HPA. We call lines joining places of equal isobars, of equal pressure isobars, just like we call them contour lines joining places of equal height. We also have them in pressure that are called isobars. The number of hectopascals between each isobar is called an isobar interval. So the isobar interval is a gap between each isobar as you move to the next one. Right, if you look at figure 2.2, which shows an isobar interval of 4 hectopascals, right? So this is figure 2.2, and then this is the isobar interval, the gap between two isobars. Okay, all right, now we're going to look at what a pressure gradient is, right? We call the difference in pressure between two places the pressure gradient, right? Where isobars are close together, the pressure gradient is steep. Where they are further apart, the pressure gradient is gentle. So this means that if the isobars are closer together, there's high pressure. As you can see in the diagram there, the isobars are close together, and then there's a steep gradient. Remember, when we're talking about gradient, we're talking about the terrain of the land. So this means that if the land is steep, like for example on a mountain going down, it becomes steep, and then as the pressure moves, or as the wind moves down that particular gradient, the pressure becomes high, ne? And then this means that the isobars will be close together. However, as the wind moves further down that slope, and then it goes onto a gentle pressure gradient, which means that there's no steepness in this particular area, the isobars, just like we see in contour lines that are on a gentle slope, are further apart, and then we have low pressure. All right. Then a force called a pressure gradient force, PGF, causes wind to start blowing along the pressure gradient from high pressure to low pressure. Okay, this is very common. So this means that the wind will blow from the high pressure, which is up a mountain or up a slope, going to a place of low pressure, which is down at the bottom. Hence, you see that the isobars are close together at the high pressure point, and then the isobars are further apart at the low pressure point. Okay. Right. When they are further apart, the pressure gradient is gentle. A force called pressure gradient force, PGF, causes the wind to start blowing along the pressure gradient from high pressure to low pressure. It acts at right angles to isobars, as figure 2.2 shows. The PGF is strongest where the pressure gradient is steep, and wind will blow faster here than where the pressure gradient is gentle. Okay, as you can see, there's the right angle right there, and there's the direction of the pressure moving from high to low. Right. Right, so basically that is the story of pressure gradient force. It is basically when pressure moves from high pressure, which is at a steep pressure gradient, to low pressure, which is at a gentle pressure gradient. Right, so the definitions found that you wrote are also found on that page. We've got isobars, isobar interval, which I explained, and then we've got pressure gradient, which I just finished explaining now, and pressure gradient force. Okay, so what I want you guys to do during the weekend, I want you guys to do activity 3 and 4 on page 100. Activity 3 is on page 100. Here it is here. You do that one. And then we also do activity 4 on page 103, which is this one. All right, and then we'll mark these activities on Monday when we are back at school. All right, thank you for joining. Enjoy your weekend.